Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Barbarian Philosopher Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Jerome Acevedo. I'm joined with my usual co-host, Leron Kavon.
Everyone was surprised by McGregor's skill level. Like, he wasn't out-skilled. He wasn't outboxed in the sense that he didn't have the skill. He didn't have the hands to be in the ring with Mayweather. Okay. I don't think anyone saw that. He hit him a bunch of times in the first 3 rounds. He cut angles beautifully. He changed stances beautifully. His hands technique was perfect, and he didn't take any shots in the first 3 rounds at all. You know, not that Mayweather threw much, but and everyone says, "Oh yeah, that was part of the game plan." Yeah, it was part of the game plan, but that's where McGregor lost the fight. It wasn't that he was outboxed. It was that his game plan played perfectly into Mayweather's, and Mayweather, absolutely, the Mayweather team just out-strategized McGregor. And I think the fight IQ, the boxing IQ, was the difference. The years of experience, as well as like the kind of that emotional component, but that's all part of the bigger picture, you know. Mayweather was able to control his emotions and therefore control his tempo.
Okay.
And McGregor seemed to just basically shoot his what?
Yeah, it was interesting.
That's my take.
Going into the fight, they're both in the ring. You know, the announcer is announcing shit. McGregor looked visibly nervous, which is interesting because I haven't seen him that visibly nervous before.
Yeah.
Usually he's very, very much composed, very kind of calm, present in the moment. And there's kind of like a watery-eyedness that people get when they're nervous.
Yeah.
That was very much so there
on
McGregor. So going into it, I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting." You know,
he didn't dominate that ring like he usually does. He would come to the center of the ring and own that ring like he did with like Mendez or what was the last one? Alvarez. He just, I remember looking at him with Alvarez, and he was a stone cold killer. He was a stone cold killer. Like, he came into that center of that ring, and I didn't know what was going to happen up until to that point. But once he had shown himself, and shown his presence, and shown who he was in the beginning of that fight, you kind of knew which way it was going to go. And he didn't have that. He didn't have that aura.
No, he didn't.
There was no aura to him, you know. There was no fear factor. You kind of looked at him, he just looked like a boxer, like a regular dude. And it was kind of weird. And I was surprised he didn't have the Irish shorts on.
You
didn't think about that? He had white shorts on.
Attention, he did.
I thought that's an A side, right? I don't think it has anything to do with whether he won or lost. But you can always read into that. But like, I don't know. There was just nothing. He didn't seem special. He didn't seem like a special fighter, a special guy on fight night at all. And even in the bit before, and this is just like that kind of mental one-on-one, who's got the biggest nuts type of thing that we're analyzing. But like, even when they were doing the weigh-in and he was doing all the crazy shit, but I didn't buy it. It seemed a little forced. Mayweather seemed like, I don't know. I wasn't really looking at Mayweather so much. I was more looking at McGregor. But I feel like McGregor had a little bit lost his cool, and maybe he was letting the gravitas of because it's different, isn't it? Boxing and MMA, you see the difference in the money, basically, that goes into boxing, and the money that goes, and just the worldwide appeal. MMA is once you really put it head to head, I don't know how long it's going to stay like this, but MMA is a much more kind of in-group type of thing. You know, there's only so many of us, relatively speaking. And boxing is huge, and I think that limelight and that pressure changed. It was a big step up for McGregor, and Mayweather was just, you know, he's been there, done that.
Right. I think for sure the amount of pressure, the limelight, just the difference in pay, all of that had something to do with it. But I also think this is a new thing. This is a relatively new thing. I think Conor had very specific areas in his boxing where he was strong and he looked good, and then some very big gaps where there was just some stuff that needed to be filled in.
Good.
So, for example, in the episode before this, there's another YouTuber who's a friend of the channel, Irish Technical Thinker. He called in. We did a little play back or look over the fight, and this is one of the things that I mentioned, is Conor looked very strong from the outside, right? Once things got into that kind of inboxing, and oddly enough, this is one of the points that Malignaggi, as much as I dislike the personality and the demeanor of how he went about whatever quarrel he had with the McGregor camp, this was an accurate point looking at the fight, is that McGregor didn't seem to have the necessary tools to fight in the pocket, right? And when you look back at McGregor's fights in MMA, he's not an in-the-pocket fighter.
Well, it's hard. I mean, nowadays there's not that many in-the-pocket fighters because people will... Because that's the clinch. And there's so many other things you can do in the clinch. You can elbow, you can knee, and you can take down.
True.
So to stand and bang in the pocket is like... very like Randy Couture maybe those days.
Yeah.
But you just don't see it that often in MMA.
You also saw this when he fought Diaz the second time around.
Yes.
Once Diaz was able to get in close and start, now granted it's a different infighting for MMA for the same reasons that you mentioned.
But Diaz could do it. And
the Diaz brothers are good on the inside.
Boxing background.
Yeah. So I think...
He's in there with Andre Ward and all those guys.
No, quite, and consistently.
And he always says it, bringing those top 10 guys.
Absolutely. So I think we saw some more of that in this fight.
Yeah.
And then how to clinch for boxing.
Yeah.
Right? Being at home in the boxing clinch.
Like not being able to grab the back of the head.
Not grabbing the head.
There was a lot, by the way, something I noticed is there's a bunch of rules in boxing I just did not know that there were. There was lots of things he wasn't allowed to do, and there was a lot of things that Mayweather could do that McGregor couldn't take advantage on. One, we have to address this one real quick, I'll let you carry on. What was that thing where he kept turning around and showing his ass like he was going to take it up the ass? How do you do that in fighting?
You're talking about Mayweather.
Mayweather was doing it, right? And it was clever because obviously it worked. Every time McGregor cut the corner on him, he just said, well, fuck it, I'm just going to turn around. It was great, right? It worked because I guess he's taking about, I don't specifically know what the loophole is, or maybe just McGregor didn't know how to, because you turn around, I mean, there's still things you can hit.
Yeah, so from what I understand is you're not allowed to body punch. Like if you're here and we're in the clinch and you get to my back.
Oh, like a kidney shot.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to strike you to the back.
Oh, okay.
Right? So whenever they would be in here and McGregor would kind of obviously go for underhooks and shuck over to the back.
Yeah.
But it was like, all right, cool. You can't. You're not allowed to do anything here.
Because the back of the head, like obviously you're not allowed to do, but McGregor kept doing it, and I'm very surprised he didn't get any points deducted. But that's like just one of those loopholes that's just dumb to me. Like if you can just turn around, stick your ass out to someone, that's the ultimate in fighting. Let's talk about combat sports for a second, right? This is a combat sport. You want to say it's a combat sport? In fighting, that's the ultimate way of surrendering to someone, is turning your back. When you spar with someone, you turn on their back, they turn their back on you, everyone immediately just thinks, everyone who's seeing that sparring contest just thinks, bitch. Right? That's it. You didn't want to fight anymore. You know what I'm saying? Turn your back on someone. Unless you're going to come around with a spinning back fist or whatever.
Right.
So that actually kind of was a very strange thing to see. I hadn't seen in boxing before, and I didn't like that element of it. It made me go back to what McGregor was saying about how boxing is not a true fighting art. I think it is, but they need to clean up some of those rules, because that shouldn't be happening in boxing.
I think a boxer, because it's understood, okay, I can't turn you and take your back.
Yeah.
Boxers don't try to do that.
Maybe, that's true, yeah.
So it's not even something that's really on the table for them to worry about. And from Mayweather's position, once he starts doing that, he's like, all right, well, we can't do anything here.
Yeah.
Except, get penalized. So fuck it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not something you really see boxers doing anyway, is trying to get literally behind. You'll see them cut an angle.
But I didn't see him, maybe I need to go back and watch the tape, but I didn't see him necessarily turning him. I thought he just cut the corner on him. And then Mayweather kind of went with it. Because it was very deliberate. I remember it being very deliberate, and numerous times he did it. Like it was something they had practiced where Mayweather would really spin around and show him his ass basically his back, and like stay in that position. But that was an A side. I don't think that was a huge part of the game, but it was just very strange to see that.
It was. I was actually pleasantly surprised and happy that the referee allowed a lot of the kind of iffy shit to go down. So the hammer fisting, the hitting to the back. If this were an established boxer versus an established boxer, I believe that the referee would have been a lot harder and quicker to penalize. But because this was somebody who hadn't boxed before, this was somebody from an MMA background, he allowed that to go and kind of let it slide, which ultimately I think played out well because it makes it that much more difficult for MMA fans to say, well, they only won because the referee was, throwing all these bullshit penalties.
Yeah.
Like, it was a legit win. And by allowing the inexperienced person a little bit of leeway, it kind of helped to highlight how much of a legitimate win it was.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about Malignaggi, the whole Malignaggi thing, now that I look back on it, right, and we had our takes before and I was wrong about a bunch of stuff, but the Malignaggi thing was a big mistake by Conor, I thought. Why would you bring in a guy, right? You bring in a guy who you bring him in on the understanding he's going to spar with you, he's going to help you. He's coming into your camp. You're going to, he's going to help you prepare for a boxer. You're not a boxer. You bring in a professional boxer. He's going to help you prepare for another boxer, right? He could have taken advantage of that. He chose not to do that. He chose to bring him in, offer the flight or whatever it was. Malignaggi has excuses. He had to bring him in, but Malignaggi is a commentator now. He hasn't been a boxer for like a year or so, right? I don't know the specific time frame, but brings this guy in. The guy's not really prepared for a fight. He's prepared for like working things and getting into kind of more technical stuff. And Conor beats the shit out of him, right? Let's call it like it is. They didn't release the whole 12 rounds, but Conor beats the shit out of him. I'm sure Malignaggi got a few rounds in too. Not only does he beat the shit out of him, but he publishes the tape. There were many versions of the tape from many angles, slowed down, sound effects turned up, and like he as Malignaggi said, he did him dirty, right? So what's Malignaggi gonna do? He's gonna find some way to get revenge, right? Because he fucked him up. So what does he do? He runs to Mayweather and he tells him everything. He tells him all of his weaknesses. Maybe Malignaggi couldn't take advantage of it in sparring, but he knows what his weaknesses are. Why? Why would you do that? For what? What was to be gained by the McGregor camp bringing him in and beating the shit out of him? Ego. Apart from ego, and just making yourself feel good, and building up confidence, there's nothing to be gained, like tactically, strategically.
I think in relation to the fight specifically, I'll say this. I think
it sold some tapes. It sold some pay-per-view.
I think it was a good...
from Dana White's perspective, it was
great.
It
was good at getting asses in seats. Right, it was good promotion. I think even though Malignaggi was not ready for like a real legit 12-round fight, there were probably still some experiential things that Malignaggi, being two-time champion,
should have been
had. That just that experience of somebody who maybe wasn't in the best physical condition, but maybe had a certain amount of ringmanship or a certain amount of understanding of how to do certain things that McGregor was able to kind of pick up on. But more than anything else, I do believe McGregor was just hot that Malignaggi said some of the shit that he said, and was like, okay, cool, this is a chance to get back and sell some extra tickets. So, come on down.
I think that was a mistake. I think that was a big mistake. That's not the type of thing you do. Look, I guess maybe McGregor doesn't give a shit, or he's at least trying to show that he doesn't give a shit if you've seen his Instagram post. He's like, I made my money. Obviously he's going to say that now, because that's all he has to fall back on. But I don't think he's like that. I don't think that that's what his intention was. I really don't think he was there to make 100 million and lose. Or whatever he made, I don't know. But I think he wanted to win that fight. At some point, midway through the third round, he realized he wasn't going to win the fight.
Yeah.
You could see it. You
Yeah.
could see it. You know, the wind was really knocked out of him. And I think if he'd taken a slightly more kind of mature approach, the similar approach to what like a professional boxer would take, he could have done better. There were big holes in his game, like you said, a lot of big holes in his game that he could have at least. Just like jiu-jitsu, you don't have to be the best jiu-jitsu guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you need to know your weaknesses, and you need to know how to defend against
Yeah.
arm bars and triangle and the basics, right? And there were some big holes in his game that he could have used someone like a Malignaggi to help with,
Yeah.
you know? Because I didn't see him sparring with any top guys.
No, as far as I know, he wasn't, and I think this is a reasonable take from his team's side. They said, okay, look, we're not going to bring in a bunch of boxing coaches and people who are going to try to turn McGregor into a boxer because we just don't have enough time, right? We have less than a year to get ready. We're not going to take a non-professional boxer and get him to outbox the best boxer alive using classical boxing.
His boxing was good. He's good enough. His hands are good enough, you know?
I think the idea of trying to take what he has and trying to modify it within that time frame to fit into boxing was probably their best chance of being successful. That said, I don't think it was sufficient. I don't think it was enough to get the job done. Perhaps if they had more time for him to prep and kind of get into boxing from a purely boxing standpoint, working on some of the basics, on some of the infighting and the clinch work that one does not get in MMA, he may have had a stronger showing. But I don't think
I think he could have done better, to be fair with you. I think he could have done better. It's a tall order, but I think he underestimated Mayweather.
I agree with that.
He underestimated his ability to absorb punishment.
Mm-hmm.
He underestimated how much power you have with even 8-ounce gloves. They took it down from 10 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
With those four, I think it's not even just that the weight; it's the size of them. You really barely have to touch someone with those gloves on. If you just get accurate, like in the right space, right spot, people go down.
Mm-hmm.
And McGregor is probably has the most accurate hands in MMA. But I don't think he's necessarily the most powerful.
Okay.
He just hits people right on the button, and that doesn't transfer over so much to think. There are no one-punch knockout artists in boxing. Not at the heavyweight level. Definitely not at the whatever they were. What are they? Lightweights.
There's so many more. Weight classes in boxing.
Bantam, I don't know. Nickel. I don't know what it is.
At the MayMac weight.
At the MayMac weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that one punch power. You know, you have to be able to like hit people and hurt them, and you have to know about he needed to talk to boxers and successful boxers
mm-hmm.
to find out, how do you put people away? How do you put guys away? How do you put Mayweather away?
Yeah.
You know, because he did not. And I think we can move on to the actual fight itself and his game plan versus Mayweather's game plan. He did not have any one weapon in his arsenal that could have hurt Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
He had pitter-patter punches. He was winning on points. He looked good, right? But I didn't see him hit him with one shot that hurt Mayweather.
Yeah. I think some of that also was obviously the difference in range, right? So usually in MMA, I'm looking to stand a bit further from you. You're looking to stand a bit further from me. And there's a tendency to kind of rush in with a blitz. For lack of a better term, kind of a blitz, right? So I'm gonna come in and I come in real fast, bang, 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 with all my body weight rushing in behind it. In boxing, being closer, it's not so much that you have the momentum of you rushing in to develop your power, as it is just the mechanics of where you torque and where you drive from. And I think McGregor, especially having that long karate style, generates a lot of his power from leaping in at that distance and then connecting accurately in the precise points.
And that's the problem with those long arms too. Is it hard to generate the torque with like the uppercuts? Yes. You know, he's not a good power uppercut. Just his body type, it's not really good for those shots.
Yeah, he doesn't have that Mike Tyson build.
Right, he doesn't. He's the opposite fighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Mayweather kind of does. I mean, just being shorter, and he was very good in the clinch.
He was. He was. I think.
And that shit hurts, and it takes the fighting spirit out of someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the pocket, you can. It doesn't look like much, but you really take the wind out of people's sails.
Absolutely. And I think also Mayweather just had a larger set of tools to pull from. So one of the things that McGregor was talking about after the fight was that, you know, he had spent the majority of his training prepping for the Philly shell style.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that after a certain number of rounds, Mayweather started turning in more towards, you know, closed in guard, leading in, kind of leading with the head and pressuring to get in on the
Mexican.
Inside. Yes. With
Turn him into a Mexican.
With a more Mexican style of boxing. And he hadn't prepped for that.
Yeah.
And so I think Mayweather, you know, kind of read like, okay, he's comfortable out here. He's not so comfortable here. Because let's be honest, Mayweather traditionally throws away the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
You know, and
exactly
kind of gets a read on what he can and can't get away with. And then starts applying that in the later rounds. And I think that's a part of what happened. I think Mayweather saw that McGregor was not super comfortable in close and had his preferred range, and outside of that he didn't really have a very strong answer. And so that's when you started seeing Mayweather kind of close up, get in tight, and really start walking him down, which is one of the other things I saw, which was very interesting, was just how well Mayweather walked him down the entirety of the last few rounds.
Did you notice that when the ref pulled them apart, McGregor would always take a step back, and Mayweather, before his hand had left his chest, he was already walking forward. He was hunting him down from that third round. From that fourth round, he was hunting him down non-stop. He never took the pressure off of him. And I think McGregor had never really, apart from maybe Diaz won, he'd never had that before.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think,
which is genius. Mayweather's game plan was genius.
It was perfect. It was perfect. I think for future fights, even within MMA, there are some takeaways that people should look to take from this fight. Part of that being the lack of comfort in close and the necessity of maintaining a constant high pace against McGregor. Really looking to work against his lack of stamina in the later rounds.
People have said that he likes to lull people to sleep. You know, and if it's almost like he's got this kind of hypnotic rhythm. It's like, and he really softens people up without even necessarily touching them. You know, he just slows them down and then boom. And I think if someone can keep their rhythm and keep their pace and just like boom, 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 but like just like Mayweather had done, and keep that pressure on McGregor, that's kind of the stylistically and rhythmically, that's kind of his kryptonite.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Leading up to the fight, so there was a lot of drama leading up to the fight about McGregor potentially being racist or making racist remarks. And I wanted to bring this up because a few weeks ago there was another similar incident, which is just so weird for me to see this stuff coming up in MMA, right? Considering that it's a combat sport, considering that it's kind of a sport of like tough guys and badasses, and like, you know, it's weird to see this kind of like, oh, this is mean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's mean.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So obviously there was the thing with McGregor and Mayweather, where McGregor said something along the lines of like, "Dance for me, boy," right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read these tweets. This is between Cody Gambrandt and I can never pronounce.
There was also the New York fiasco.
It was specifically, are you referencing?
Well, he came out in like a he came out in like a mink coat, no shirt on, and then said, his beautiful black female. Which is it was so bizarre. It was just like
it was.
I was like, this has gone off the fucking rails here.
Yeah. I think that was him attempting to like kind of poo-poo or brush off the accusations.
Instead of being apologetic, he was going the other way.
Yeah, okay, well, if that's what we're doing, I'm just going to go, all right, I'll lean right into it.
Yeah, okay.
it just came across off-colored and weird.
Yeah.
And I think he even made a comment afterwards, like, I tried it. It didn't really come across the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
That one was definitely kind of weird.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, the whole lead up between the two of them was weird. Fucking form Voltron, you know, and kind of posturing like they're going to jump him.
Because they weren't allowed to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is the way boxing promotions do it. They weren't allowed to answer questions directly, so they were just doing performances.
Pretty much.
They had to just go up and do a performance, like literally, like do a dance for everyone.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to fucking do that, you know. It's not. It was theater. It was actually meant to be theater.
It was.
Anyway, go ahead with the Gambrandt thing.
Okay, so Gambrandt and Aljamain Sterling. So I'm just gonna, state the person's name, go through their tweets, state the other person's response. All right, so this is on Twitter. Aljamain Sterling. Cody sliding in my DMs like a little bitch made hoe. Don't need to. We follow each other and he clearly looking up my tweets, but he tried to downplay my win. Laugh out loud. Our time will come to scrap. 100. This is Cody Gambrandt responding. Downplay your win. You beat a washed up Barral. You are free money. 100. Caraway broke you and he is afraid to fight everyone. And like I said, I'll strangle you with that fake ass chain you wear. Wait in line, boy. This is now where Aljamain responds. Unless you KKK, stop calling me boy, motherfucker. You liable to get your shit beat in talking like that. Talk your shit, don't be an asshat. Facts. I don't know what kind of hillbilly shit he over there tweeting about, but that's out of bounds. Yeah, exactly my point. Empowering these racist dickheads. I'd beat the fuck out of you. You're a fucking idiot. This is still Aljamain Sterling going. Yeah, I'm really tough for calling someone out, talking like a racist piece of shit. You try being black in America, dickhead. Fuck you. To which Cody Gambrandt now responds, at TJ Dillashaw is next. And then to at Funkmaster UFC, just riding high off the biggest win he'll ever get. Can't be mad at the boy. Exactly what the fool is trying to do. We all tie our shoes the same way. 100, 100, 100. So this is like exploded into like a big, UFC racist.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And considering the historical context, right? Because there is a historical context there of particularly slavery and directly after slavery, disallowing black men to be equal, right, to white men in the country. Boy was a way of kind of emphasizing you're not on my level.
Not a man. Yeah.
Right. You're a man, but you're not where I'm at, boy. Like that, right? And I get that argument.
Yeah.
That said, it's not a purely racist insult, right?
Would he have called a white guy a white?
Possibly. It doesn't seem out of line. Look, what's his name? Michael!
Oh, yeah. I love you!
Yes, I can't think it was Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero calling Michael Bisping boy.
Yeah.
Right?
No reason.
You remember Germany? Yeah. You remember me, boy?
Yeah.
Nobody tripped, right? Not 100% sure on this, but I do believe DC called Jones boy at some point. A man calling another man boy, period, is insulting.
Yeah.
Because you're attempting to belittle his manhood.
You're trying to insult them.
Right.
That's the point. You're trying to get one up on them. That's the game.
That's the game that they're playing. And it just seems weird for someone to take, because something possibly could be racist, sexist, whatever ist you want to put on it, it has to be that.
Well,
like, I feel like there should be a stronger clarification
what's the other guy's name? Not Cody Gambrandt.
Aljamain Sterling.
Aljamain Sterling. I'm just going to call him Sterling.
Yes.
I don't know what Aljamain is. Never heard that. Sterling is still playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get one up on Gambrandt by playing the victim, which is by saying, "Oh, you're a piece of shit." And then I've always thought of it like this: whenever the reason people need an excuse, want to portray the other guy as a bad guy and them as a good guy, right, is because it gives you what we call the courage of your conviction, right? When you know you're in the right. I was talking about this last night. Like, I think there's a lot of people with guns, for example. Sorry, we're wandering off on tangent, but like, there's a lot of people with guns in this country who, I swear, when I hear them talk about their guns, they are looking for an excuse to shoot someone, and it's usually like in the thing of like stepping on their property. You know, they're the type of person to leave their door unlocked so someone busts into their house, and they're just hoping that someone is going to come in so they can fucking shoot them, right? You just want to be in the right so that you can go 100% on the other guy, knowing that you're the good guy, they're the bad guy, and they deserve whatever you're going to do to it. It's not a 50-50 situation. There's no shades of grey. You have the courage of your convictions. They are a piece of shit. They deserve whatever you're about to give them, right? And I think what sounds like this guy is doing, Sterling is doing to Garbrandt, is he's saying, all right, now you've crossed the line. Now I can do whatever the fuck I want to you because you've crossed that line. And he's using racism. And maybe he genuinely feels that way. But like, I think he's using racism as a way of like being able to kind of have completely free will on this guy. You know, like license to kill, essentially. You know. Amps him up, it gives him the courage of his convictions, and it gives him a sense of like feeling of strength. But what it also does is it also puts him in the position of being the victim. He's playing the victim, you know. It's like, you know, you're being mean, like you said, like, oh, you're being mean to me, you called me boy or whatever, and to me it comes across as kind of weak. It sounds like weakness. Yes. It sounds like weakness. Look, you're playing a game. You know, he's trying to make you seem small, and you're trying to make him seem small. You know, that's it. But then maybe he just didn't like the rules of the game, so he wants to. But he's still playing the game. He's just playing it from a position of, oh, now you're a racist too.
Right.
You know.
Do you think, given the context of what was there on Twitter, do you think that does that sound like it was a racist comment to you? And of course, well, you're not in the man's head. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what his intentions are. But from the context of what was read, does that sound racist to you?
I think it definitely was not enough for Sterling to wonder, like, to go that far down that path. Like, because he was really like, he's like, tried and tested, you're a racist. That's it. That's it. Fact.
Right.
Like, knowing nothing about him because he used one word, boy. It's possible, you know. There's a lot of veil, you know, and maybe Garbrandt himself doesn't even notice it himself. There's, you know, especially when we're in that position where we're actively like confronting someone. We'll often use whatever we can think of to like put the other person down. And race, unfortunately, is one of those things for a lot of people. They see race; it's a different thing, and they might be taking advantage of it unconsciously. So it might be a bit of kind of 50-50 where Garbrandt didn't really mean to be, you know, to go down that path, but maybe he did a little bit. I don't really know. I don't know what's going through Garbrandt's head. But by the same token, Sterling seems to be taking it so far because he's trying to like give him, like I said, the courage of his conviction. He's trying to make it out like you're a bad guy and I'm like the hero. I'm the hero, you know. But he's actually come across as a kind of a victim.
I like your take on it. I think I agree with you there. I look at it similar to this. If let's say you end up dead, right, and you owe me money. Someone could say, well, obviously he owed Jerome money. Jerome killed him. There was motive. That's what it was. Just because it could be that doesn't mean it was that.
Yeah.
There could have been 10 other motherfuckers who had beef with you that also had it out for you. Likewise, just because something can be taken, if looked at in a very specific way, to be offensive, doesn't mean that it was intended or put out to be offensive in that manner.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's not a good path to go down where we're looking for any little grain to, aha!
Yeah.
You victimized me! No!
I knew it!
Right. It could be, but I think you should reserve those type of statements for more concrete, actual offenses. Because then what ends up happening is it kind of waters down when some real racist shit happens.
Yeah, and I think that's been happening, for sure.
It's a boy cries wolf kind of a thing that happens.
For sure that has been happening, just in general, in like sports and even politics and stuff. It's starting to get like people, and I can hear it when people talk about it too, that people are starting to get tired of it. You know, the race card or whatever. And it does water down because it's still an issue. It's not like racism, like people aren't racist anymore. People are still racist, but if it's a question, it's a case of like, you know, if you're a hammer, everything's a nail, right? If it starts just being like you pull it out for no reason, then people really do stop paying attention. You know, and then you're giving license to people who really are kind of
because then they blend in. If everyone is racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic, whatever phobic at all times for all things in all instances in all ways, well then that doesn't mean anything anymore. And if you look at me wrong and that was a microaggression, so you're racist, and you said boy, and maybe you meant it as just a general insult, or maybe you meant it, but you're still racist, and then you're a racist and you're a racist. Then when somebody who's actually racist, someone goes, hey, he's racist, it's like, hey,
everyone's a fucking racist.
What kind of racist? And it really, really waters things down. And so I don't like that general societal trend. And it's just so fucking bizarre to see that popping up in a sport where my job is to shove my knee through your temple.
It's
really, really
race
weird.
Will not matter when you're in. That's one thing that combat sports teaches you very quickly is race doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter. Nothing matters when you're in a ring with someone except for who's the better fighter.
But I think you make a good point with kind of the psychology of playing yourself up and hyping yourself up and giving yourself a kind of moral justification to say, okay, I can go all out on this person. I can play whatever little mental games I want to play to try to get them off their rocker, to try to get them off their center. When we get in the ring, I'm gonna go fucking all out on this motherfucker. And on top of it, let's call it what it is. The UFC is becoming, the WWE as far as, building up these storylines before the fight. You would have, I was never really big into like the WWE, but I watched a little bit when I was younger. And you'd have somebody come and like, I've got your girl and she's in my trunk. And there'd be a camera in the trunk. And she's like, no. Right? And it would build up a storyline, and maybe 5 fights down, now it's like, you stole my girl and haven't gave her back. Let's get down. And then they fight. And so you're starting to see this kind of storyline development where I have to call you out and we have to have this very specific beef. And
it's all gone very personal, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. And so I think it's very well possible that Sterling is also just playing that. Maybe he doesn't need a moral justification. Maybe he doesn't, need to, I got to amp myself up. It's like, hey, fuck it. This is the head man. If I can cause a beef and a storyline between the two of us, chances are I can get that title shot.
I think sometimes it's always good to refer to the Diaz brothers when you're looking for wisdom. And I think
what would Diaz do?
My buddy met Nick in Stockton or something, or maybe in LA or something, before his fight with, this was back in the day, Frank Shamrock. He was about to fight Frank Shamrock, and back in the day, Diaz was like one of the guys, like, because no one was doing this. Like, he was the guy who like would drum shit up. He would get personal when he called motherfucker, he'd flip everyone off. He was getting banned every other fight. He's still doing that, to be honest, but now it's kind of old hat, like. But he was one of the first dudes doing it. And my buddy met him before the Frank Shamrock, and there was a lot of shit talking because Frank Shamrock talks a lot of shit too. And he goes, so what's up? Do you really hate Frank, or is it all for the cameras? He's like, listen, man, I gotta fight him. I gotta hate the motherfucker.
Yeah.
He was saying like, I'm gonna fight this dude. I need some fuel.
Yeah.
I can't just go in against a nice guy and punch their face in. And that's where I think a lot of the theatrics come from. In my last fight where I fought someone, I remember, I knocked the guy out, and I remember looking at him. And he had this look in his eye. He didn't know what, he was seeing birds and seeing stuff. But I didn't know him, right? And I felt bad. I was like...
I remember that fight. I was there. We both fought on that card.
Yeah. And I felt bad, honestly, because it was very one-sided. He probably trained very hard for it. And I honestly thought, this is the type of dude I am, right? It's probably why I'm not fighting right now. I just thought, what's his mom going to think? Like, I just battered him. And he doesn't know his name right now. And he was just like, I don't know, he was very like, he was breathing heavy, you know, like when someone gets concussed and they wake up and they're very confused and whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, if I had hated him, it would have been easy. Mm-hmm. If he had said something or whatever, you know, like if he was a racist, you know, if he called me a dirty whatever, then fine, I would have felt great about it. I would have had the courage of my convictions, you know. But he hadn't done shit to me. We'd just been put in a ring together because people wanted to see two people beat the shit out of each other. Yeah, and we both signed up for it. He signed up for it, I signed up for it. I didn't lose too much sleep about it, but you know, it helps to hate people in that sport sometimes. Yeah. So unless you look at it as a pure martial arts contest like they do in kind of Japan, you know, that type of thing. They bow to each other before, they bow to each other after. And usually after the fight, dudes will like kiss and make up or whatever and have a beer together. But you know, at least getting yourself in the ring and like getting yourself into that killer instinct mode, hate is one.
It's a useful thing.
One fuel source that is it can be very useful.
It's similar to, if we look at it in grand scale, when my tribe or my country or my in-group has to go to war against that in-group, there's a very common trend of dehumanizing them. You know,
this is something they taught us in history.
They're dirty.
The other they call it. Yeah.
Exactly. They are deserving of what we're going to do because there's these horrible subhuman things. They're barbarians. They're not on our right. Exactly. You have to minimize them,
and that makes it easy for you to kill them or rape them, or whatever terrible things you're going to do to them
to win the war. It's okay because you know they don't really count.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of a smaller micro version of that.
He's a racist.
Yes.
He's a racist. Yes. He's whatever. So
he deserves this flying elbow to the bridge of the nose.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then you can kind of read into that a little bit, you know, just because of the speed with which he's decided that Cody Gambrandt is a racist with very little evidence, or what seems to us like potentially very little evidence. He might be right, but there's not that much there, right? He just said the word boy. The fact that he did it so quick makes you think, why does he need to hate him so much? Why does he need... And that's probably, like we said, makes it easier for a dude to go in there with another dude and just savage them.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because they're a piece of shit racist or whatever. They said something about your mom or whatever. I don't know. You know? So that probably is something that you see with a lot of guys. And you probably see a lot more of it. It makes it a lot easier to get in the ring with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense, man. I know you said you had a call you have to make. You have a client you have to deal with.
Yes, I got to deal with a client.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up, brother.
Right,
any parting word? Oh, John Jones. Ball.
Okay.
They did a second test.
Flash update.
Update just came in.
Second
hot
test.
Off the presses. It was a blood test. He passes the blood test clean. His camp is kind of pushing this out like, well, hey, man, that first test popped dirty, but look, we just took this other test and it's showing clean. Problem is, you don't test for Ball in the blood. You test for it in the urine.
You're not fooling anyone, Camp Jones.
So, they're trying to pull a quick one. Trying to pull a quick one over the wool of the eyes. But I want to see if they do this second urine test and what happens. But, I mean... we were talking about this before we started recording. Jones really just needs to take the Chael Sonnen route.
Yeah.
And just like, look, I'm a dirty motherfucker. I like winning. I really like winning.
I love winning.
And there's a lot more of us using this shit than aren't. And I don't want to be the guy who isn't and gets fucked up for it.
Yeah.
So
just pull the Barry Bonds. I'm not naming names, but everyone's doing it.
Yeah. All y'all motherfuckers.
You're all on steroids.
On steroids.
To borrow from
via Diaz, you know. We should make a shirt like WWDD. What would Diaz do?
Exactly.
But yeah, man, just come out and say it is what it is, man. Y'all got me. Yeah. It's like the third time around.
Yeah. You're in a hole. You keep digging, or do you just get up?
Yeah, just chalk it up, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this for more MMA podcasts and martial arts videos. Peace.